Episode 1 is possibly the most crucial episode for an anime to nail properly, so the initial interest level is enough to keep bringing gradually growing fans into their newly formed fandom. The common tactic is taking the finest point of emotion that the creator wants to get across to the potential fanbase and have that emotion personified in Episode 1 as the ultimate hook. The main emotion Attack on Titan had going for it that carried throughout was fear. Fear of humanity's impending doom. And the finest examples of that were the Beast Titan's first appearance, brilliantly executed as I've explained in a previous video, and the Titan invasion of Episode 1, which climaxed with amongst the most gruesome anime deaths that doubled as one of the best shonen MC backstory storytelling. This show pulled everyone in immediately just because of the tantalizing fear the first episode expressed. That's how to sell an aspect to make one mere episode enough to make nearly everyone certain that they will finish this anime, that they want to see more of its world, and that this insanely dramatic, tangible fear will exist, hopefully throughout. Yes, they will likely not kill off his mother again, but in shonens, you never know. Last season, Made in Abyss aired, and before it even got the slightest bit of recognition, I will pat myself on the back. If you remember, I put out a video analyzing how it will likely be awesome due to the epic fine-tuned world building and world writing in Episode 1. And frankly, it was right. Feel free to check out the video later to see what I mean, or if you just want an epic anime recommendation altogether, I'll link it at the end. What's with these emotional chibi shows though? Every season now. Also, notice the contrast between the world building there and SAO, which seemed to have an appetizing, amazing first episode premise, but if you pay attention, it was a lot more escapist fantasy than tremendous world building, being that it was as generic as possible. And while that was its appeal to its fan base, it does not bode well for creativity moving forward, and continues to preach towards the escapist fantasy with generic power-ups, generic monsters, and a generic harem, yet being frankly enjoyable along the way. Well, I don't mean to bombard you with examples, it's just an interesting point to pay attention to, because this season, from what I've seen so far, the most hyped original series is the ancient Magus Bride, or Mahoutsukai no Yome if you're a pretentious weeb. And the character writing for said bride is some of the most beautiful pilot episode character writing I can remember, especially for a female character. No, I am not being a sexist, and if you want to point fingers at Japan, because for the most part, female characters in anime have more cleavage than personality and are relatively bland, and that's aside from the army of fan service. The best female character writing in one episode, in my personal opinion, was Homura from Madoka Magica, although it was a series climax, not a series premiere, so it really is not competition to the ancient Magus Bride, and I will not delve into that example due to major spoilers. By the end of merely Episode 1 of Magus Bride, and that's all I'll be talking about today, I was emotionally invested that Chise should be cared for and should live a happy life. And I don't even need to see it. I just need to know it's gonna happen. The character writing aims more for you to fall in love with this broken girl, not that type of broken girl, and crave for her happiness than it even makes you want to watch more and watch her obtain her happiness. The result means you won't come back because of cliffhangers and shit. You'll come back because of your investment in her story, like she's someone dear to you. Her first scene forces the obvious questions of her circumstances and backstory into everyone's mind. How did she end up here being asked politely to shackle herself when she isn't seemingly in the position to put up any resistance whatsoever? And because of this beautiful yet melancholy aesthetic, you can see it's something about her as an individual that caused her entire life up to this point to be entrenched in somber despair, and she's accepted her atrocious destiny, closing off all reality of freedom. And no, it's not the cliche hentai, "Excuse me miss, can you please beat the SM yourself? I want a ahigo all over your face." Nux's dating tips for weebs. Tip number 4. Never try to impress 3D women with cool hentai lingo. In any case, her disparaged acceptance of a sealed fate is apparent from this initial 10-second scene alone, and these feelings of injustice and pity just intensify by the minute until she's bought out at an auction, where we begin to empathize with her as a person, until the buyer expresses how she wasn't actually purchased, rather she was adopted. Obviously not spelling it out in this fashion because Eins Ulgaun Goat Mode has the intention to marry her, hence the title, and we're gonna try to steer away from the whole not blood-related incest for now. But in a natural conversation between them and his explanation for his purchase, her backstory evolves naturally, and this is how her story, mindset, and emotions develop throughout the entire episode. As a point of comparison, this is how the protagonist of the anime Gate develops develops in his first episode. And while I do use Gate as an example, I'm not targeting that series, because unfortunately, an excruciatingly large percentage of anime, especially those with an otaku protagonist, share this same disease. We start off with the protagonist, whose first line basically declares, "I am an otaku," in a completely unnatural fashion, purely to tell the viewers, "Relate to me!" But it would be passable if this was the only bit of bronchitosis in that episode. Bronchitosis is an anime illness where the characters in an anime view the viewers to be dumb as shit and explain a hell of a lot of obvious crap that frankly should be picked up on its own, hailing from Brock himself, as seen here.
Because Swellow's opponent can't see Swellow, it can't put up any defense.
So after the anime proclaims he is an otaku, he's seen riding a train, playing literally history's most cliche RPG of all time, and projecting himself into it that has no purpose to the story other than showing his already stated otaku nature. We progress to him tripping only for someone else to notice that his protective case for his phone is weebish, so he can once again proclaim his otaku nature. Then a gate, which is the plot, connects an alternate universe to Japan and the vicinity of the protagonist, which is the perfect time for another proclamation that, "Oh no, it will ruin the anime convention I'm going to!" And the kicker is, his being an otaku is literally inconsequential to his actual character, and it just had the sole purpose to make a badass soldier slightly more relatable. This is obviously another extreme as far as character writing, but every bit of this triggers my gag reflex just a bit more. Chise's story, and the writing of the Magus Bride, isn't forcing any viewer to understand the trauma and character dynamic, yet every viewer does nonetheless, with zero pandering of every character saying a completely out-of-place line, just so the viewers can understand their personality. Like what literally took up half the time of the Goku versus Jiren fight. There's none of that half-assing meta cringe that Cyanide Heroine did in episode 1, bouncing from character to character where everyone can say a completely out-of-place line that somehow is supposed to connote to her personality. Yet, Magus Bride maintains a comfortable, natural narrative that could happen even if no one was watching. And despite all of this atypical yet natural anime behavior, I still know that despite the horrid backstory of this poor girl in conditions we can't even imagine at this point, being treated as less than human, she still maintains an appreciation, a pride, and a dignity of only the topmost tier of waifus that serves as lighthearted moments throughout the episode, revealing the show's essence and tone that it will not remain in melancholy stank. And it also serves to develop Elias's fascinating, mysterious personality with his slightly inhuman reactions as just a side note. And because of my faith in the anime's character writing, I guarantee an interesting character like Elias will end up having some Gankutsuo epic backstory type thing going on, and I am greatly looking forward to what that is. Now, I'm not going to nitpick every moment and why every moment of the episode was worthwhile, but this is a foundation that if you watch the episode, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. And all this brings me to my final conclusion, that Chise is bae. 2 seconds real quick, this video was sponsored by Koyo Studio, an online store that does really great t-shirt designs with good quality material as well as a plethora of other awesome stuff. Instead of me telling you stuff you may not be interested in, I suggest you click the link in the description to their website and look around yourself. Also know that if you enter the coupon code NUXTAKU, one word, you'll be getting a 25% discount. So I got your back, homies.
And also I get a little bit of commission, so feel free to support the channel.
Thank you so much for watching, I hope you enjoyed. If you want analyses on ongoing anime, feel free to let me know, because I've never really tried that before. In the meantime, I guess I'll link up some other analysis videos and some parody videos, and feel free to click on them, as well as liking, commenting, and subscribing. And I'll see all of you next time. Have yourself a most wonderful evening.